Hey guys, this is Rob speaking, and today we are back in Automation with our first round of judging the photo competition for the Lowy Tech Sports Let's Play, where you are designing the cars and you are the photographer, the company photographer. And, or maybe you're not, depending on your score. I disavow if you're producing bad photos. I shall disavow. Anyway, we have 24 contestants for the first round, and there's some nice shots in there, so it will be juicy. Nice shots and, of course, nice designs. And this competition is judged in two categories, and that is the design score and the photo score. But only one score counts, and that is the sum of both of these. So photo is just as important as the design, or what we can see of the design. And of course, that is with my very biased opinion. I do have a bit of a background in photography though, so I think I'm not going to be entirely in the dark when it comes to judging photos. So, what we are going to do is to kick us right off in alphabetical order. And what I'm really hoping for is that over the course of this competition, depending on when I go bankrupt, I don't know yet. I haven't recorded that far into the future, so yeah, we shall see. It might be getting a little hairy. And yeah, so I would expect that with these comments and you seeing how this all goes, I would like people to naturally improve over the course of the competition so that we can look back and laugh at our first attempts at making good photos of our beautiful designs. Alright, shall we get started? I think we do. Before we are starting though, I still need to point out what the scale is so that you don't get all weirded out by it. This will be using the same scale as in the previous competitions that I have been running. And that scale is centered around 5 or 5.5. And 5.5 is solid, between solid and good. So that means that we won't see any video game review scores of 8 and higher, most likely. What I'm aiming for is a Gaussian distribution of scores around the 5.5 and maybe 6. And that means that we will see low scores and above average scores and maybe some high scores, but not super high. That's very, very unlikely. You have to make something absolutely exceptional, which wows me in order to get up there. And yes, so be aware of that, and don't despair if I just give you a 4, so that's still quite decent. We are going to take a look at all this stuff in Photoshop so that I can comment on things by painting on the screen. And of course we have the beautiful full screen mode, if it actually goes into that, and we zoom in a bit. And here is our first candidate by Adrian P. And okay, we are going the order design, what is visible of the design. I'm going to judge that, and then we are going to comment on the photo. So we, of course, with 24 entries, we have to go reasonably quick. And first thing that comes to mind seeing the design is it's way too busy and it's trying way too hard. So we do have probably the wrong color here. Yeah, that is very much the wrong color for painting on a red car. But the front of the car, like that thing, is annoyingly busy. It's like, oh, look at me, I'm angry. Look at me. Yes, I'm looking at you already. Shut up already. Quite a bit of effort has gone into it, but that was certainly overdoing it. The sides are less of an issue. I quite like the continuation of the lines here in the rear. That's quite nicely done. The spacing in the front for these is, or on the sides, is off, and some of the spacing here is off as well. And overall being too busy, I don't think that is more than a 3 in its design. So then let's take a look at the photo itself. Weird composition. It is a weird composition. So this car is Mr. Angryface is looking that way, right? Then this car is looking that way. Your eye comes in from this side and hits this car and it's like bleh, goes down there because that one is looking there. You're looking basically down there. But also this car pulls it, pulls the eye further to this side. Okay, so maybe you avoid going down there and looking and being confused that there's nothing there. And you come in here and you spot this one. And this one is pointing back. Like, okay, I'm looking back. Yeah, there's Mr. Angryface. What we have not seen at that point is anything that is in here. And also there is nothing there. Like, why is there even a picture there? It's not that necessary. Oh shit, now I have to remove all of these again. So yeah, the composition is very weird, and the placement of the cars is not great either. It looks like they have rammed each other a little bit. I know they probably haven't, but yeah, this is not working for me. I think placing this car at more like that angle might be better. And this car, maybe a little bit more like that. I know it's still pointing out of the image, but then you could move all of them slightly more that direction, and that might help. Anyway, this is an unedited picture, of course, and yeah, I'm not a fan of the composition. It doesn't work to me, and maybe the light reflexes here are also a little strong. It's quite nice to have some highlights here and there, but otherwise the lighting is very flat, very summerish. There's not much nuance to the lighting, so I think the shot is also a 3, going along with the design score. So let's note that down, and next picture is up. Alright, next up is AN38FR, probably France. Are you Frenchies? It is a little bit of a French design. They're very much the opposite of the previous one. Quite understated, and I quite like that. It doesn't force you to look at it and then make you surprised at how weird it's looking. It's quite pleasant to look at. It looks elegant for sure. There's not that much going on, but that is not a fault of it. Or that's not to its detriment. It's nicely designed. All the components are placed properly, and from what I can tell, it is looking quite good. It's a design that works. Simple, but to the point, and I like the sizing, the scale of the fixtures that are being used in comparison to everything else. Like this slight amount of understatement. It is a Fruinian sports car, and it's not a high-tech wonder. So being a little understated and not too much on the nose, which would be a more Gasmian style, is probably a good thing. I like the design. I think it's a good design. This is a 6 to me. So now we come to the image itself, highlighting some of the not so optimal texture work in automation. Like the little grass bushel here is nice, but not this cutoff with the road. That's not looking good. Like the road is just flat on on the dirt. But yeah, let's disregard that. That's not where the eye is going either. So I think overall the what is being tried here is to get a good sense of direction and movement. Like, oh, okay, we have the road in the background that is being caught first. It's the first kind of highlight in the image, and that one leads us straight back to the car, of course, coming up over the crest here, not through the road. So that is working pretty well to me, but while the angle of the car is working really well, I like that. That is a perfect stance, and you see enough of the sides, you get a bit of directional feel, you have nice lighting still all around, and so on. But what doesn't quite work is this effect of, it would have been so nice. That thing that would be over there, like the bend in the road, that would be super powerful to have as part of the image. But that would require to move the cameraman a little further that way. And then we might be losing that nice angle we're having here. So it's a little bit of a conundrum. And also the lighting of the sun is would be different. But yeah, I would have liked to see the whole scene, because this is breaking the narrative of the picture. Like, tree travel, and then we don't travel anymore, and then, here we are, yay! That's not quite how you want to do it. You want to try to have a more continuous story telling in the picture. But overall, I think that the car itself, the posturing of the car, the lighting in the car is really well done, and the thought was there. And overall, let's just quickly touch on composition. I think the car might be a hair too low in the frame, and maybe slightly too far to the right overall. So if the roof was more like there and the back end more like there, then there would be slightly more room for the eye to work with, so that it doesn't feel as claustrophobic here at the side. But I can see why you did it, and I think it is still a valid composition to take, especially with what you're trying to do with that curve thing here. So overall, I think this is I think that's a 7. I think that's a very good attempt at photographing this beautiful little car. So a 7 it is. Well done. And next up is Ben Friction. Okay, let's have a look here. Yes, first impression, cool logo. Very nicely done, especially with the moon right there and there. I see what you did there. That's fantastic. Having that as part of the logo, very thematic. It might not be the best logo design ever, but that is paying some attention to detail. Very nice. The design as a whole, well, it's pretty simplistic overall, which isn't bad, but also doesn't seem all that elegant. We have one line going along the sides, which is fine. We have something going on the hood here. I'm not too sure about it. And this thing here, I'm not really a fan of it. This looks like it's sticking out quite a bit. Could be toned down a little, but it might just be the lighting in the photo. Also, I'm not so sure about what is going on with the wheels here. This looks like the car is moving. Oh, it's odd. The shadows are weird and stuff. Maybe it's your settings or the time of day settings or whatnot. No idea. But overall, the design, the rear is looking decent-ish. I would say a 4.5 for the design. And the photo itself, way too much contrast. Way too much contrast. I can't. This is black. This is like looking like black. Here, there's nothing to see there. You don't really want to have that. You want to be able to see some reflections and so on, and some nuance in the lighting. Keep it, don't keep it flat, but so that it is within the dynamic range of the image itself. It's often quite difficult to do. On overcast days, you get very even and flat lighting. And that can be a blessing and a curse. And here, if you take a photo in flat lighting and then crank up the contrast, you end up with very large areas of the same color. That is not really desirable. Okay, so I don't like the color scheme of this overall, and too contrasty. Color scheme is very cold colors, cold colored car. This doesn't sell the car to me. It looks cold and miserable. And that is not how you sell cars, as far as I know. Maybe if you're Lada or something, I don't know how they do it. But yes, so where do we go from here? Posturing and stuff of the car, how that is composed. Okay, oh well, we have a kind of curve look here with some pretty nice semi-barren landscape behind. That's not too bad a composition, but this one looking out of the frame like this is a little unfortunate because it just does exactly that. You go from here, come in, follow the lines, follow the lines, follow the lines, and you're out of the picture. And then there is no reason to look back. So what that does is that it makes the image slightly less impactful, because there's not much movement within the image going on that is helping the viewer to appreciate all the detail and bring him back to maybe some aspects that they didn't see before. So overall, I would say it's with the technical issues we are seeing here, but a decent-ish attempt at showing the car and having some landscape in the background. I would say a 4. Did I actually say whom that was by? That was Ben Friction. Lots of friction. All right, that's lots of contrast friction. Anyway, now next up is a BF94, an old classic from the competitions. Well, let's have a look at you, sir. And zoom in again. A very, very cool little look of the car, and like old photo style with some notes down here. Is this actually showing the whole image? No, it isn't. Okay, so that means that it is larger than 1080p? Is it? No, it is smaller. Oh, interesting. That was delivered in 1019 times 606 pixels. So this is the original size. So I think there's a little bit too much black around the around the frame of the picture. That's not helping your cause. But I like the style you went for over there. Okay, but first, the design of the car. That, to me, works reasonably well. I don't know about the rivets up there on the roof line, or that. But this is the convertible. Of course, it's the convertible version. That's a nice touch. Okay, okay, that's not negative. That's not negative in the context of the design. That makes perfect sense. And here we do see some reflection work as well. That is looking pretty nifty. Is that actually the reflection? Oh yeah, could be. Not entirely sure. It doesn't look too doctored. Of course, this would have been strengthened and stuff, but all right. And it does look like a poorish quality photo from back in the day, where you couldn't have that much dynamic range and stuff, so you would have to blow up the sky in order to get the details. But yeah, I'm mixing things. So, LTS, Low Tech Sports, very nice. I do like the grille. That does work. Number plate, of course, looks a little modern, but who cares? Design, very simple, but just works. Yeah, quite like it. So, what do we do with this one? I think this is a solid design. I think that nets you a... it's a little bit better than solid. Especially considering the roof line there. And it looks complete. Like, to me, this looks like a proper car. So let's say 5.5 for this one. And then we have the technical details. That framing here is awful, of course. You should have tried to make it a little bit more full size. There's a little bit of resolution missing here. Some interesting photo effects. I quite like what you were going for there. Not a fan of Instagram filters and shit, but I think here it works. It's a nice little effect. Overall, good lighting. Thematic lighting as well. Some nice details that have been worked out, maybe a little too much even in the side here. But the coloring, it's also a little bit on the cold end, but it also fits the scene. Some snowy patches here and there and so on. So not too bad. I quite like it. I think this is a 6. And yeah, it is just a classic composition for a car photo that is just straight up frontal, slightly from the side, so quite low angle. That always works. So it's a safe go-to and gives the image a bit more attitude. I think it just straight up works. So it's a good photo. And next up is Infinity. So let's have a look at you. And first up, the design. Very French-ish lights. I like the windscreen wipers here. The wart on the side, not a fan. Not at all. That is looking rather awful. It might be realistic that some car might have had that, but this is absolutely awful looking. Oh, yeah. Also, well, it's excellent if you want to take out some pedestrians without damaging the main car. It's just, yep, okay, there we go. Yeah, but otherwise, other than that, it's pretty solid. It looks a little sad. A little crumply nose. Like, everything is crumpled together, like squished together like that. Yeah, I don't know. The rear, solid. So I would say, apart from the wart that we have here, it is a solid design. And maybe a little higher. Average design. But the wart drags it down. So let's give it a 5, because warts. I don't like warts. I have one on my foot right now. I need to remove that at some point. Awful. Anyway, you don't want to hear about that. So, photo itself. This is an unedited version, and it's a little between flat looking and nice nuanced way looking with the coloring and shading. I'm not quite deciding on what. I shall tend towards the nuanced, nice tonality look. I don't think it's bad at all. But let's see, we have a very strong case of it going both directions, which is fine. Kind of loops you around and you keep looking. But neither of them is okay. It's hard. It's hard to decide, really. So my main focal point for the eye is there, which is the lower left golden ratio, and that is where you're supposed to put the car, but there. And then we have some interesting aspects of the car, and I think the headlights is what draws the most attention. Okay, well that kind of works. This one seems a little too far to the edge. I know it needs to be, because like if you place your first focus there, then you want to keep that as your next reference point, and then basically frame it from as if that is your next frame, and then look for the golden ratios there, which would be there and kind of there, a little bit further to the left, and there and there. Yeah, they're not. So maybe this one could have been a little bit further up in the background, with slightly more angle, to move it slightly higher up, because of this new framing you're doing here for the like double golden ratio thing. But overall, I think it's workable. This doesn't look like an art poster though. It's a solid attempt at best. Maybe a little bit better. I like the tonalities. In the image. It's not overly contrasty. It has a nice lighting to it. It's like this slightly desaturated, slightly older feel, but modern tonalities to it, like very nuanced. So that gives you a bit of a bonus. 5.5 for that. And next up is, well, I always pronounce you Sdom, because you're from the olden days of competitions. All right, nice to see you here again as well. Previous category winner. All right, let's full screen you, please. There we go. And here we are. All right. Now that's an impactful shot, I have to say. Quite modern. It is quite modern a shot, but I didn't say it has to be exactly like within style of the photography of the era, because then we would end up with some horrible photos. I don't want that. Yes, all right. First up, design strikes me as very finely crafted. It's like everything is... There's nothing too attention-grabbing, but everything seems to have its place. And there are no elements that are really competing against each other too much either. I really like the sides. They have just the right amount of lines. The headlights and the little blinkers below. The grille very nicely done. And a line across the bonnet with the logo there. I don't know what that is. That's a little odd. But yeah, it's hard to tell. But it doesn't look too bad because it's in line with the bonnet line there. So from what I can tell, this is a really strong design. That is, to me, also the mirrors and yeah, the door handle there. The correct wheels, it's like the rims being used spot on, very nicely done. I think this is 7.5. Is it? It's probably a great design even. Is it a great design? 7 is very good, 8 is great. And getting a great design score is very high up there. I think these are the windscreen wipers, I also thought about those. I think this is super strong. Yeah, let's go with an 8. I think you deserve that one. That is really a really nice job on the design. Also the broken up bumper at the front is working really well. Had to think there for a moment. What the fuck is that thing called? Yeah, so very well done. And now the image. Well, we have another thing here that is trying to tell a story, and this one I think really succeeds in that. You have a lot of movement going on here. It's quite easy to follow, even though I can't with my mouse. And it is pretty clear that with this barren landscape in the background, this is the road that then comes up here and goes there. So I think this manages to tell that story that we had with one of the previous images. Was it on 38? I think so. Maybe it was. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, trying to tell that story, but succeeding at it quite well. The composition of the image is just beautiful with this road, the connection between the story and like where the car is placed. And if we go for the classic look of gold ratios and stuff, you're right there. That's a good place to be. That is one of the corners. So, and that is just working because you're leading that line. The direction of movement goes straight through that point. It's really strong. That's a proper storytelling move you're doing there. If it is very intentional or not, you probably... I think you said on the forums that you're taking a ridiculous number of photos and just picking the best from it, and I can see that. This is a really good shot, and it takes a lot of effort to get that kind of shot. Beautiful details worked out in the lighting itself. You can see the sky in the paint. Very nice. Dramatic looking. The coloring scheme, spot on. It has this look of old, like brownish tones, but warm and not muddy. Not too muddy, at least. A little bit more grey-brown. And you can tell that the car's red, and you have the contrasting, nuanced green in the background as well. I think this overall, this is a super strong image. Very well done. I'm really pleased with this one. That stuff here, upon further investigation, doesn't look all that great, but with how strong your direction is, it kind of stops there. So this is not as important, which is good, because that would be a shame. Yeah, overall, this is a great shot. I think you scored a 8, sir. That is impressive. Yeah, 8 it is. And next up is Grizzo. I think that's how you would pronounce it. We'll never know unless he's complaining in the in the comments. Yes. So what do we have here? Design-wise, that is more luxury car looking to me. It doesn't quite look like a sports car. Yeah, but also a simpler look, which kind of fits the company's theme. I don't know if this is a strong design, though. Now, to me, this just doesn't look like a sports car. Yeah, it's a little simple looking for that, and it's not necessarily the number of things, but maybe the balancing? Hard to put my finger on that. There's something off that really makes it look like a not sports car. Probably grille and maybe these lights? The grille and these lights? Anyway, I think for the design, this is not doing it for me. It is not a bad design, but I don't think it's a fitting design. So I shall go for below average on that one. That is a 4. And then we have the photo itself. This car over here is very much to that edge. It feels like this is the bullied kid that is sitting alone in the corner and no one cares about him because he's kind of a douche. And like also the wheels pointing even further there. It's like, oh, get me out of here. That's not the attitude of a sports car. It doesn't. This posturing here of the car doesn't have any presence. It's like this little cross-legged standing kid in the corner, right? That here has a lot more presence, but it doesn't have much of a place in this image. If this was alone, and instead like this edge was there, so that it was something like that, and alone on the road, maybe a slightly more wide angle, just slightly, and a little closer so that the car is still the same size, and you had a bit more perspective, that would show attitude. That would be a proper attitude shot. But yeah, the design doesn't make up for that either. So yeah, it's also a little on the weak side. It's not a terrible photo by any means, but it certainly shows off the car, and that's a positive. You want to sell the car, but I'm not convinced. I think this is a little on the weak side. It doesn't. There's this section here in the photo, like the central part of it is entirely not used by anything, which yeah, I'm not saying you have to use it, but compositionally that it is a little odd with two elements in the screen that don't seem to interact much. It more looks like he's going to sniff his butt, and he's ashamed of it, and that's not a selling photo. So you get a 4 for that one too. Double 4. And next up is Conte. We are binging our windows again. Let's full screen that and zoom in. Are you on a potato PC, sir? It looks like it. That to me looks like a potato PC. So maybe you can't really be blamed, but potato looks potato. Okay, so here we have a classic look for the car. This doesn't look error correct because of, for a sports car at least, because it doesn't have chromey lines anywhere. It's very weak on chromey lines. It has the bare essentials and a hood scoop. Don't know if it really needs that. That is more something Gasmian of the 60s and 70s. But yeah, like the classic setup for this kind of body, for the headlights. The grille, pretty small, can work. There's not much detail we can see here apart from that. I don't think... Is there anything here on the sides? Or is that just the normal seam there is? There's nothing going on here for windscreen wipers. No other details, no wing mirrors. I think this is pretty bare bones. So... design, that's really not that good. Probably a... I think this is a 3 for very different reasons than it was for Adrian P. Well, and now the photo. The photo itself. Oh, okay. Okay, where to begin? Well, first off, do you have a 1 megapixel camera? No, wait, half a megapixel camera. 1 megapixel would almost be correct. Full HD is 2 megapixels. So, yeah. So, do you have a half megapixel camera? Because it looks like it. It's potato. And if you have a potato PC, you can still use the like higher quality settings and so on. Just suffer through the 1 frame rate. Just set up a default scene in Automation. Save that while you're in potato mode, and then go to the main menu, switch it to a much better looking mode, and then load that preset while having 1 FPS. And then take the photo. That will make it look so much better. It will be a little bit of a nuisance, but it will certainly look a lot better. Even on potato PCs. Hopefully it doesn't crash though. So, yeah, the black and white doesn't do it for me. It's very flat looking black and white. It's not using the entire dynamic range of the scene, or not really well. The distribution is very middly for the grays. And just having the car in the center is... yeah, it looks like let's just keep the car centered, and like everything looks straight into the middle. And if you have something that you're composing with looking straight in the middle, you better make sure that you have symmetries. Then it works. But this doesn't have... this image doesn't show any symmetries because you have this natural flow that goes there. And the car is oriented that way too. So that just doesn't work. Of course, well, golden ratio stuff, let's aim that somewhat right, is there. So that works. That's nice, especially for the direction. Oh, well, missed that one, but was supposed to go through that. So that works. It's not too bad. I don't think the angle is quite as nice as it could be. It's like maybe going slightly lower would be good for attitude. You might be missing that little bit of road then, but instead you might be seeing the horizon line up on top, which might be a benefit to the image, and some more of the spectacular rocks that are there. So overall, I think that is also pretty weak. But what I do think is good is that despite it being weird and bad, not really bad lighting, mediocre lighting at best, weird composition, you have that thing going for you, that this kind of works. This car is the correct scale for that to work. If you're going a little lower, you could move the car and zoom in a little bit. You could move the car a little bit this way so that this end is still exactly there, so you have more car in the scene. But yeah, all right. I think the image itself is pretty much where your design is, mate. It's not that bad. I mean, technically it's absolutely atrocious in that sense, but kind of works a little bit. So a 3 for you there as well. And next up is Angelo, also a returnee to the competitions. And here we have, oh yep, that's a pretty striking image straight up. That's not a bad looker. The design though. I think it's a unique look. The front, oh wow. What? Why? Oh, it's in the color space that is grayscale. So my red paint is also grayscale. Thanks for that. So yeah, the front, interesting. It has a unique look. To me it says French/British roadster mix. I don't know if that is accurate at all, but it kind of works. Also, you're showing off both variants of the car. Both the convertible and the coupe, and that's really nice. I like it how you're showing off these now not red colored lines of the car. Very, very nice. But that is not really that's not really a design thing, that's a photo thing. The design itself, it is skirting the line between simple and too simple. And I don't know which side of the line it's falling towards. I would err on slightly too simple. Maybe something more that is highlighting the lines. I'm not sure. It's not far off though. I think this can pass as a solid design. I get a 5 for this. But now the image. The image itself, I think you have done quite well. This is almost infrared looking shot or effect of the image in black and white. Like where the trees are getting white, you know that effect. That is quite nice, and I really like what you did with these lines here of the coupe, and this one coming back. It's a good lead of the eye through the image as well, although it is popping out here and not coming back that much. But you have already caught my attention with all kinds of highlights before, which I do want to look at again. Very nice lighting here on the sides of the car. That is really good. Nuanced and nice tonalities. Yeah, it's good. That's a good shot. I think, is it a good shot or a very good shot? 6.5 or maybe a 7? I think you get a 7. I shall be generous here. I shall call it a very good shot. Well done. And next up is Moon. And there we have that one. Okay. Interesting choice. Interesting choice for just showing the rear. So you need to have a strong butt in order to be competing with the others there. And do you have that? I would say, yeah. Yeah. It's not bad. Sure, it's not bad. It's not that strong. It looks a little plump. And that's maybe not the look you want for a sports car. I like what you tried there, but I don't think it quite works. This doesn't feel balanced with the sleek, round lines of the body. And it looks odd in shape from the difference between this and this. Of course, they are the same, but the angle just shows how different they really are from different angles. I don't think that works. Or at least doesn't work well. Number plate and Saturn. I think the Saturn is way too large. That is overdoing it. Other than that, there's not much to say really. Can't see any lines on the side. There's nothing to support like speedy chrome lines there. That would have been nice. Something extra on the rear, maybe underlining the Saturn and have the Saturn smaller. Something like that. Yeah, the rims you're using is all good. That's very fitting. I think that's a somewhat weak design. I give the design a 4.5. It's slightly below solid. But now we have the shot. This looks like pretty much like what I am. It's like if I have to take photos of cars, I tend to be the landscape photographer and then I just place the car in it, in the landscape shot. That works pretty well. It tends to work pretty well. And very, very nice with the road slinking along there towards the sun. Tells a story. This one tells a story, and it keeps the story within the frame. You don't have to guess that much. It feels very settled, this image, and quite romantic in that sense. It's very, very classic. Cowboy movie, a western, where they're riding towards the sunset. Beautiful. So the lighting on the car also, with this kind of lighting you've chosen, the kind of time of day and so on, quite well done. It is well lit on the rear, despite being in the shadow and so on. So, and the lighting in the grass, beautiful. This really works. Like, this stuff is spot on. Like the slight highlighting of the grass and so, and all that, really works. Nice tonalities. The sky, yeah, keeping it simple. It's quite a bit of negative space up there, as they say. And I think what might have worked because of that amount of space being up there, if you ever so slightly, I think I would ever so slightly change the framing of the image so that it is like cutting off that much from the top and cutting off a little bit from here, like this bit, and instead have it there on this side and down there. I think that will make it even more solid a composition. But this works because you are coming in from the corner, leading through the golden ratio, which is it's not quite there, it's more like there. And the car is driving towards it, so you are like telling that story, driving towards it, going towards the sun, going towards the other corner. Very diagonal composition like that works. It works. It's quite impactful. And now the screen is messed up with my notes. So yeah, good image. That's better than a solid shot. This is a very good shot. I give the photo itself a 7. And the next shot is by Max Bomb. And that needs to be full screened as well. There we go. Okay, design-wise. First off, that's a photo thing. It's not a design thing. But that really disturbs me because this makes the car look asymmetric in a bad way. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. Looking at design, mustache type of grills, yeah, all right. A little bit of an odd blinkerage combination, not being round and round, but rather rounded edges and round. Kind of works. Feels more 50s to me, but this car is coming out in the 50s, so it's fine. That's fine. Badging on the rear, Mimas. All right. Doesn't look quite equally spaced. Maybe needed a bit more OCD there. Not sure. But also, we are looking at the convertible version here. These here at the sides, maybe a little too much on the look. I'm very, very strongly sporty. Trust me, I'm a super sporty car. I like the wheels. They are different. They're different and they feel old and appropriate. So that's cool. Yeah, windscreen wipers. Overall, I think this is a solid design, and solid means 5. So now for the image itself, I think that is potato texture, and it might be that this is just the way it is. The potato bridge. That's the bridge in the canal scene, and that might just have a terrible texture on top. I think it was a little better than that though. Anyway, that is not looking great, but well, it helps highlight the car, I guess. You're choosing a shallow depth of field to not have all the background stuff show up too much and take too much attention away. I think that's a good choice. And what more can we say about that? The lighting itself is quite adequate. I don't think this is all that inviting to look at. Let's have a quick filter here. I just want to test something. So let's drag that there. I think if we make it a little friendlier, something like that would be an easier sell. Because if you compare that, like this looks not nearly as inviting as that does. Well, I think it's just a little bit of color balance that is gone awry there. I needed a bit of a warmer look. Also, probably a little bit more clarity to just a tad for the cars. I would just do it for the cars though, so that they can pop a little bit extra, and vibrance and everything else is okay. Yeah, I just wanted to try that. But anyway, I think it's a good shot. I like the composition. I really like the composition on the bridge. That has some potential. So I want to see some really good shots with the bridge in future. See if some people can pull that off. This is a good attempt at it. Good composition. I like how this car is further back and doesn't try to have the same amount of attention, but it serves as good background detail. Very nice. So I think that is a strong shot. It's not very good, but slightly better than good. So 6.5. And next up is Micon P7. So let's get you in there. Oh, that's way too much. I wanted to press F twice. Yes, there we go. Okay, design. Oh, okay. Asymmetric design. This thing here. Some kind of extra venting going on. Interesting choice. I like the logo. That's a nice touch. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. Yeah, I think all the elements are there. This looks great. You tried a little extra there. No windscreen wipers though. Or are they hidden somewhere there? No, it can't be. That is not how old windscreen wipers work. So I'm not quite sure of that. The door. Is that a suicide door? I think it is. Alright, interesting. Yeah, it has the hinges here. Yeah, of course. Okay. Suicide door. Radio and stuff. Yeah, I think the design overall is, while it's not striking, it is better than just solid. And you did go for some risks here, especially with this feature. And I really do like your badging here. That's a nice touch. So I think I'm going to give you a 6 for the design. And now, oh, that was a 5. Now 6. And the photo itself, that is not a good photo scene. That is really not a good photo scene. It is so awful for that. And it's not meant to be a photo scene either. It is meant to be I have a potato PC and I can't use anything else. Also, oh, wait a second. Wheels. The wheels are awful. They're not chromy. But maybe you selected chrome? No, you have chrome here. So chrome works for you. That's not the issue. Yeah, I don't think those are nice. But the lighting on the car is pretty decent. I'm lacking some detail on the side, which mainly comes from having or using this photo scene. That's not great. But yeah, overall, this image is so mundane car shot. Like something you would see on an eBay listing. It's very straightforward. I would like to see some more art in the photo competition shots. This is not art. This is this is a car, and it shows the car pretty well, but it stops right there, and that is not quite enough to compete here. So it's a 5 for the photo. It's like solid, but nothing more. Alright guys, I think what we are going to do here is, because this is the first episode and I'm commenting a bit more in depth so that you get what I'm looking for to make all the future parts of this competition a lot more competitive in that sense, and giving you more insights in like what I'm looking for, how what I want in compositions, how the competition is run, and so on. I think we're going to do a 2-part of this. We have covered 12 cars now, and I see the episode has gone on for way too long already. I do want to keep this up overall for the first episode, this kind of in-depth style for commenting. And then for future episodes, I'm going to cut that a lot shorter and give my... I'm going to focus my commentary more on the really good shots and good designs, and give maybe some really quick hints about the worst ones. But I'm going to do a 2-parter of this one, so that you can get this first part early, so that it comes out while the Jupiter competition submissions are still up. And we're doing the next 12 not too far in the future. So I hope this is helpful to you and interesting as well. to hear let's say, ex-photographer talk about these things and run the competition. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed, and see you guys next time.